Have you ever wondered why falling in love feels so weird? One minute you're living your life perfectly normal, and the next, you can't eat, you can't sleep, and your brain has basically turned into a 24/7 radio station, playing nothing but songs about one specific person. It's a powerful, sometimes confusing, and often wonderful experience. But what's actually going on inside your head? What's happening in your brain when you fall in love? It's not magic, and it's not just a feeling. It's a complex series of chemical reactions and changes in your brain. Think of it like your brain is a kitchen, and when you start falling for someone, a whole team of tiny chefs starts cooking up a very specific, very potent recipe. This recipe changes how you think, how you feel, and even how you act. We're going to break down this process, step by step, to understand exactly what your brain is doing when you're head over heels. Let's start at the very beginning. The initial attraction. That moment you see someone across the room, or you have a conversation that just clicks, and something inside you goes, wow. What is that wow moment in brain terms? A huge part of this initial spark is driven by a chemical called dopamine. You've probably heard of dopamine before. It's often called the feel-good chemical. It's the same chemical that gets released when you eat a delicious piece of chocolate cake, win a game, or get a promotion at work. It's all about reward. When you see someone you're attracted to, your brain's reward system kicks into high gear. An area of your brain called the ventral tegmental area, or VTA for short, starts producing a lot of dopamine. This dopamine then floods another area called the nucleus accumbens. This pathway is a crucial part of your brain's reward circuit. When it's activated, you feel pleasure, you feel motivated, and you want more of whatever caused that feeling. So, when you see that special person, your brain essentially says, hey, this is good, this is rewarding, pay attention to this. This is why you suddenly find that person incredibly interesting. Every little thing they do, from the way they laugh to the way they push their hair back, seems fascinating. Your brain is telling you to focus on this person because they are a potential reward. It's a biological system designed to help us find a partner. Think about it like this. Imagine you haven't eaten all day, and someone puts a freshly baked pizza in front of you. The sight and smell of that pizza would trigger a huge dopamine rush. You'd want that pizza more than anything else in that moment. Your focus would narrow, and all you could think about would be getting a slice. That's very similar to what's happening in your brain during initial attraction. That person becomes your pizza. Your brain is laser focused on them because it anticipates a wonderful reward. But dopamine doesn't work alone. It has a partner in crime called norepinephrine. This is another chemical that you might know as adrenaline. It's the stuff that gets your heart racing, your palms sweaty, and makes you feel a little bit giddy and nervous. When you're falling in love, your brain releases a flood of norepinephrine. This is why you get those physical symptoms. The butterflies in your stomach, that's norepinephrine. The fact that you suddenly have boundless energy and can stay up all night talking, that's norepinephrine too. It sharpens your memory, which is why you can remember tiny, insignificant details about your early interactions with this person. You remember the exact color of the shirt they were wearing, the song that was playing in the background, the way they smiled at a particular joke. Your brain is essentially in a state of high alert, making sure you don't miss a single detail about this new, important person in your life. It's like your brain has suddenly upgraded its camera from standard definition to ultra-high definition 4K, but only when pointed at them. So, You've got dopamine making you feel amazing and focused. And you've got norepinephrine making you feel excited and energetic. This powerful chemical cocktail is what creates that feeling of euphoria, that on top of the world sensation you get in the early stages of love. It's intense, it's exhilarating, and it's a little bit addictive now. Let's move on to the next phase, which is where things get really interesting and, frankly, a little bit crazy. This is the stage where you might feel like you're going slightly mad. It's the can't think about anything else phase. You might find yourself checking your phone every 2 minutes to see if they've messaged. You might replay conversations over and over in your head. You might even lose your appetite or find it hard to concentrate on work or school. This isn't just you being dramatic. There's a real neurological reason for this. The culprit here is a chemical called serotonin. Serotonin is a very important neurotransmitter that helps regulate mood, appetite, sleep, and, crucially, obsessive thoughts. Now, you might think that with all the good feelings of love, your serotonin levels would be high. But researchers have found the opposite. When you're newly in love, your serotonin levels actually drop. What's interesting is that these lower levels of serotonin are similar to what doctors see in the brains of people with obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD. This might explain the obsessive, all-consuming nature of early love. Just like someone with OCD might be compelled to wash their hands repeatedly, a person in love is compelled to think about their beloved constantly. Your brain is temporarily rewired to obsess over this one person. It's a biological drive that pushes you to focus your attention and energy on forming a bond with them. This drop in serotonin can feel a bit like an anxiety-fueled obsession. You worry about what they're thinking, if they like you as much as you like them, and what the future holds. This constant thinking and worrying is a direct result of these chemical changes. Your brain is in a state of wonderful, yet stressful, turmoil. It's not your fault that you can't focus on that spreadsheet your boss needs. Your brain chemistry is actively working against it. Let's take a real-life example. Remember when you first got a smartphone? For the first few weeks, you were probably glued to it. You were constantly checking for new notifications, downloading apps, and just playing with it. It was new, exciting, and it occupied a huge amount of your mental space. Falling in love is a bit like that, but 1,000 times more intense. Your new love interest is the ultimate new gadget for your brain, and the low serotonin levels make it impossible to put them down. So, to recap this stage, you're high on dopamine and norepinephrine, which makes you feel fantastic and energetic. But you're also low on serotonin, which makes you obsessive and a little bit anxious. It's a very potent and confusing mix of emotions. It's the roller coaster part of falling in love. The highs are incredibly high, but the lows, the moments of uncertainty, can feel very low. But what happens next? We can't stay in this crazy, obsessive state forever. If we did, no one would ever get any work done, and society would probably grind to a halt. Thankfully, our brains are smart. As a relationship develops and becomes more stable, the brain chemistry starts to shift again. This leads us to the third stage, long-term attachment and bonding. This is where the real magic of a lasting relationship happens, and it's guided by two other key hormones. These hormones are oxytocin and vasopressin. They are sometimes called the cuddle hormones or the bonding hormones, and for good reason. Let's talk about oxytocin first. Oxytocin is a hormone that is released during moments of social bonding. It's released in mothers during childbirth and breastfeeding, which helps create that powerful bond between a mother and her child. But it's also released in adults. During moments of physical intimacy, like hugging, cuddling, and making love, when you're with your partner in a long-term relationship, and you feel that sense of calm, comfort, and security, that's oxytocin at work. It promotes feelings of trust, empathy, and connection. It's the chemical that helps you feel safe and content with your partner. It's what turns the frantic, heart-pounding passion of early love into a deep, steady, and comforting affection. Think about the feeling of coming home after a long, stressful day and getting a big hug from someone you love. That immediate sense of relief and calm that washes over you. That's a big dose of oxytocin. It's a powerful hormone that helps us form lasting, meaningful connections with others. It helps us feel like we're part of a team, that we have someone in our corner. The other hormone, vasopressin, works in a similar way. It also plays a crucial role in long-term pair bonding. Scientists have done some fascinating studies on a little animal called the prairie vole. Prairie voles are famous in the animal kingdom because they form lifelong partnerships, much like humans. They mate for life, raise their young together, and are very loyal to their partners. When scientists looked at their brains, they found that they had very high levels of receptors for vasopressin. When researchers blocked the effects of vasopressin in male prairie voles, they suddenly lost interest in their partners and started acting more promiscuously. This suggests that vasopressin is incredibly important for maintaining that long-term, monogamous bond. In humans, it's believed to work alongside oxytocin to foster feelings of protectiveness, territoriality, and a deep sense of attachment. To our partner, it's the hormone that makes you feel like your partner is your person, your one and only. So, as your relationship matures, the brain's chemical cocktail shifts. The crazy rush of dopamine and norepinephrine starts to level off. You don't get that same heart-pounding feeling every single time you see your partner. The obsessive thoughts, fueled by low serotonin, begin to fade, and you can finally concentrate on other things again. But they are replaced by oxytocin and vasopressin, which create a different kind of love. A love that is less about frantic energy and more about deep connection, comfort, and a lasting sense of peace. This transition is really important. A relationship can't survive on the initial high alone. That initial phase is designed to grab your attention and motivate you to form a bond. But it's the oxytocin and vasopressin that provide the glue that holds a relationship together for the long haul. It's what allows you to build a life with someone, to weather storms together, and to feel a profound sense of partnership. Now, let's talk about another interesting thing that happens in the brain when you're in love. It seems that certain parts of your brain actually turn off, or at least they become less active. One of these areas is the amygdala. The amygdala is your brain's fear center. It's constantly scanning for threats and danger. When you're falling in love, the amygdala seems to quiet down. This might be why you feel so safe and fearless when you're with your partner. The world can seem less scary and more manageable when you have someone you trust by your side. Another area that seems to take a break is a part of the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain that is responsible for critical thinking, judgment, and making rational decisions. When this area is less active, you tend to be less judgmental of your partner. This is where the old saying, "Love is blind," comes from. You might overlook their flaws or make excuses for their bad habits. Your brain is essentially putting on rose-colored glasses, helping you to focus on the positive and build a strong bond without being overly critical. Think about a time you were so in love that you didn't notice your partner's terrible singing in the shower, or their strange habit of eating cereal with a fork. That's your prefrontal cortex taking a little vacation. In the early stages, this is helpful because it allows you to connect with someone on an emotional level without your inner critic getting in the way. Of course, as the relationship progresses, this part of the brain usually comes back online, and you start to see the person more clearly, flaws and all. And that's healthy too. A lasting relationship is about loving the whole person, not just the idealized version you fell for in the beginning. So, what does all of this mean for us? Understanding the science of love doesn't make it any less magical. In fact, it can make you appreciate it even more. It shows us that love is a fundamental part of our biology. Our brains are wired to connect with others, to form bonds, and to experience the incredible journey of falling and staying in love. It's a journey that starts with a spark, a rush of dopamine and norepinephrine that makes you feel like you can fly. It moves into a phase of wonderful obsession, driven by low serotonin, where your world revolves around one person. And finally, it settles into a deep, comforting attachment, nurtured by oxytocin and vasopressin that can last a lifetime. Every time you feel that flutter of excitement, that calm sense of security, or that overwhelming urge to just be near someone, you can know that there's a complex and beautiful symphony of chemicals playing out in your brain. It's a process that has evolved over millions of years to ensure the survival and continuation of our species. The next time you see a couple walking hand in hand, looking completely lost in their own world, you'll know what's going on. Their brains are full of dopamine, oxytocin, and all the other chemicals that make up the recipe for love. And the next time you find yourself falling in love, when your heart is racing and your thoughts are spinning, take a moment to marvel at the incredible chemistry that is happening inside your own head. It's one of the most profound and deeply human experiences we can have. It's the beautiful, messy, and wonderful science of a brain in love. It's a reminder that beneath all our thoughts, hopes, and dreams, we are biological beings, driven by ancient chemical reactions that connect us to each other in the most powerful way imaginable. Love is not just a feeling, it is a fundamental part of who we are. It's written in our brain chemistry.